Okay, so
Recording in progress.
okay. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me. And let me mute all of you to make my life easy. Okay, lovely. So we're not closing our eyes just yet. Um, um, we're working today on balancing the inner feminine and masculine. But before we do that, let us understand what we mean by both these terms and why they matter at all. So, when we talk about feminine and masculine, we must not make the mistake of confusing these with female and male. A highly masculine woman and a highly feminine man can both be very straight, and also vice versa. Gender has nothing to do with the inner balance of masculine and feminine. There are various perspectives we can take of the world when we look outside and study how things function. Either we can take a look at all of it as just one. That's the Advaita philosophy. Everything is one world, one consciousness. Everything is part of the same whole. Or we can take a dualistic perspective, which is what we're working with today. We can still go further into the divisions if we want. We get the three doshas, or the three principles of creation, sustenance, destruction, or the five elements, and so on. You can keep going further. And every perspective is equally valid and has its own advantage, because it allows us to look at and heal aspects of ourselves on that level. So, just like we separate everything that we see into light and dark, we can also separate all of existence and our own systems into feminine and masculine. The part of us that is deeply present is the masculine aspect. The part of us that can take action in the flow is the feminine aspect. A healthy masculine within us allows us to be sharp and strong, honest, to draw healthy boundaries, to be disciplined, protective, focused, rational, responsible, accountable. And a healthy feminine allows us to be soft and receptive, creative, considerate, open, trusting, comfortable with vulnerability and authenticity. A healthy inner feminine will allow us to truly love deeply, unconditionally, and to be able to nurture ourselves and others. A healthy inner masculine will allow us to be ourselves and support others to be themselves. Now, these aspects within us can be healthy and strong, or they can be wounded and weak. And obviously, it is the latter situation what this session is really for. But how do we know whether our inner feminine or inner masculine is wounded? So, if our inner feminine is wounded, we know that this is the case if there is a tendency to be insecure, needy, manipulative, if we are being manipulative, or if we are overly emotional. People pleasing is another aspect. Being a victim is big time wounded feminine. So, and then let's look at wounded inner masculine. That would be if we have the opposite problems. So if we are emotionally shut down and hardly feel any emotions, if we have a tendency to just leave when we're upset, you know, if you're aggressive and controlling, very competitive or abusive, all of these are signs of an inner masculine that's deeply wounded. So we're saying wounded, 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 right? What does wounding mean? Or how does wounding happen? Now, our inner feminine and masculine are frequently modeled after people that we've observed while growing up. And we are increasingly living in more isolated worlds. Most of us grew up in nuclear families. So typically, our inner masculine is modeled after our father, and our inner feminine is modeled after our mother. So, if we want to study our own inner balance, the easiest way to do it quickly is to just look at the equation between our parents. If our mother was, for example, submissive and the father was dominating and cruel, then it's likely that that's the equation our inner feminine and masculine take up. So it's possible that we will crush our desires to feel, to be empathetic and kind, or we might hold ourselves back from receiving, and we might be overtly aggressive when it's not needed. So, this modeling after our parents is the untouched, simple reflection. But then there are wounds that create imbalances as well. Because obviously, if the parents themselves are not emotionally healthy, they're going to pass on the wounds to us. So, our inner feminine can get wounded when we are not allowed to just be or to just be happy. I know that some can literally get shouted at by their parents. What are you so happy about? It's like, yeah, do I need a reason to be happy? It happens. So that is the inner feminine. Like if the child is just not allowed to just be, the inner feminine is disturbed, the being is disturbed. So suppression of our voices or sexuality, this happens a lot in India as well. So that leaves the inner feminine very wounded. Sexual abuse obviously does that too. Physical abuse wounds the inner masculine, on the other hand, and being controlled and dominated as a child, over disciplining, not being allowed to think for ourselves. All these are wounds of the inner masculine. And if I could put it in one line, of course it's an oversimplification, but not being allowed to feel hurts the inner feminine, and not being allowed to think hurts the inner masculine. Now, this could be something we do to ourselves, or it could be forced by others, because it could be that we're going through a difficult situation and we decide, I'm not going to feel this anymore, or I'm not going to think about this anymore because it's just too painful to go there. So it's the lack of emotional education that can also cause this problem. And once it's wounded, the inner feminine tends to use feelings. The feminine feels. So the inner feminine will use feelings and deception as a weapon, both our own as well as that of others. And the wounded inner masculine will use logic and dominance as a weapon. So depending on how you're fighting, are you fighting with logic or are you fighting with tears? How are you fighting like a man or not a man or a woman? Are you fighting through the inner masculine or through the inner feminine? It's easy to understand. So how do we go about balancing and healing both of these aspects, right? We start bringing more awareness and attention always, any shift, any change has to begin with awareness. A lot of us on the pathway, um, the moment there is awareness, the first thing that step comes up is judgment. Then that's what we need to just make sure we set aside. Awareness is a calm watching of, oh, this is going on. It's not good or bad, it just is as it is. I'm watching it, and the more you watch it, the more deeply aware you are while watching it. It starts to fade on its own, but that is not the agenda. That is not the objective. You're watching it because it's just part of you being present, right? So we start bringing more and more awareness and attention to the root principle of these wounds. The wounded inner feminine becomes a victim. So the central belief becomes I need. And the wounded inner masculine feels alone. Nobody is there for me. So the central belief becomes I cannot trust. So when we start by bringing awareness to these aspects, we can then slowly start to follow it up with holding the space for ourselves to release this behavior step by step. And again, we also need to counter it with the observation and awareness of other people, especially because, if you need to substitute that, you need to become aware of what it is exactly that you need. So deeper observation is required over there. If you have trouble trusting, you have to open your eyes and look and realize that this is not the case. So a deeper observation of the self, but also the external is required. So when we feel that we need others or others need to change so that we can be happy, basically what we're doing here is we're refusing to take responsibility for our own well-being. We need to actively see what we can do to replace or even become the person that we need. What is it that you're really seeking? Because it's never about a person or a type of person. There are specific qualities, or there are specific things or specific feelings actually that you're seeking, for that person to make you feel. And if we can find a way to just feel it ourselves, then we transcend that, And contrary to the common understanding, becoming emotionally self-sufficient does not isolate us. A lot of people tell me, no, but if I don't need anyone anymore, nobody will be with me. And that's really, if they're not with you because you don't need them, then it's probably better. You're better off without that kind of relationship. Being more self-sufficient actually opens us up to more powerful and healthy and balanced relationships. Now, coming to the masculine, when we refuse to trust, this happens when we refuse to actually see people for who they are. There's this blanket judgment of people. Everybody either can be trusted or cannot be trusted. And that's so ridiculous. Just imagine going into a forest thinking, oh, all the animals are just awesome and, they're so cuddly and cute, or all the animals are just horrifying. They're just so dangerous, and I need to oh my god, there's a lizard over there, run, or there's a little rabbit over there, I need to run, there's a deer, what am I going to do, it's so huge. Come on, you cannot judge everything in the same with the same idea. So healing that is about learning to see. So maybe you actively start learning to assess. Can I trust this person? Can I not trust this person? What is my gut feeling? Am I comfortable? And am I comfortable expressing what I feel? Am I heard? All of this. We've just got to make peace with the fact that some people wish us harm and some people do care about our well-being and will bend backwards to accommodate us. It's just how it is. I think a lot of people on the spiritual pathway have this disease of wanting everyone to be good at heart. So I've been burned as well. It doesn't work like that really. So this is the practical aspect of it. And if you have questions, we'll deal with it at the end of the session. But for now, just let's work on the meditative aspect of it. So have a fidget, maybe stretch, and you know, shake off any tension and take a deep breath. And as you breathe out, allow your eyes to close. Very good. And just imagining the ideal scenario for you to be relaxing. When was the last time you relaxed really, really deeply? Can you go there right now and let every single muscle just drop into this blissful restfulness? And more than anything else, just letting the mind settle like still water. Just allow this silence to seep in to every single cell of your body, calming down. And now just allow yourself to become aware of the right side of your body, the masculine side. Just allow your awareness to scan the right side all the way from head to neck to shoulders to the arm, the chest, the torso, the hip, and the right leg all the way to the toes. Check if you have any sensations, any aches and pains, any kind of disturbance. Even if it's been there for a while, that's okay. Just bring your awareness to where it shifts. calls out for your attention right now. And as you become aware of this, just ask yourself, what is the emotion associated with this pain or disturbance? And just let yourself feel this pain. There is a tendency to fight normally. Just let it be. Approach the pain with curiosity. What am I feeling? And as you go deeper into this feeling, just allow your conscious mind to rest, but let this answer pop up on its own. When did I feel this emotion for the first time? Let this incident just pop up. Do not think about it. When did I experience this emotion for the very first time? And if there's no incident, that is perfectly okay as well. It's just your subconscious mind processing it. So just rest in the stillness. But if you do have an incident, just allow yourself to go through it. Feel everything that you feel. It doesn't matter if the memories are blurry, just allow your imagination to fill in the blanks. It's totally fine. Do what feels right. And now I'd like you to imagine that you're just pressing the rewind button on a remote control and it's just whizzing back to the start of this incident again. This time I want you to relive it as if you're watching this whole scene as your current self. So you're standing there, witnessing everything happening. What would you say to your younger self, or what would you do to support your younger self? As you reach the end of the scene, just hug this younger self. Thank this younger version of you for having gone through everything and for learning all the lessons. So give a warm, loving hug and say goodbye. Step back into the present, shut the door behind you. And as you comfortably settle back into the present moment, allow your attention to gently rest on the left side of your body, the feminine side. It's okay, you're still shifting back and you can take your time. Just be aware of the left side, gently, slowly, a little bit more every moment. Now scan your left side and just check for aches, pains, sensations. And as you feel this, check what emotion is associated with this physical sensation. It could even be, how do I feel about this pain? Do I have an emotional reaction to the pain? Even that is perfectly all right. Just see, how does this pain make you feel? Or what is the pain associated with this? And just let yourself feel that. And again, ask yourself, when did I feel this emotion for the first time? Let yourself relive this incident as if it's happening right now. If you're significantly younger, you might want to feel the tiny arms and legs and the difference in the texture of your skin, the surface of the floor beneath your feet. Make it as real as possible and go through this whole incident. Press the rewind button again. Go back to the beginning of the scene. And now go through it as if you, your current self, is watching this as an observer. And what would you say to your younger self? What would you do to help? What does your younger self need to hear? If there's any discomfort in your body, just relax into that discomfort. So you can hug your younger self now and thank this younger version of you for learning all the lessons and going through all of this and being so strong through all of it. Give a nice warm hug. Say goodbye and come back to the present. Shut the door behind you. Just become aware of the body now, almost as if the body is a hollow, empty vessel. And maybe it feels like the right side is full of light, and maybe it feels like the left is this deep, beautiful darkness, a deep void, welcoming, open. And if you like, you can reinforce this union by clasping your hands together, maybe intertwining your fingers, just bringing your hands together, letting them join. And maybe it even feels like this black and this white is circling together like a yin and yang symbol, beautiful, rotating, creating this infinite balance. Maybe the next time life presents a challenge, we can choose to ask ourselves, how can I take greater responsibility for myself and my feelings? How can I be kinder and more compassionate in this situation? Maybe we can promise to ask ourselves, how can I draw my boundaries kindly and effectively? How can I approach this so that we reach a win-win situation? The next time we're uncertain of what we meant to do or say, Maybe we will ask ourselves, am I speaking out of love or fear? Am I acting out of love or fear? Maybe when we don't get our way in relationships, maybe when we're asserting our will, we will stop and ask ourselves, am I using my power to help others find their own power, to uplift them? So take a deep breath now, letting all of these beautiful, wonderful lessons and healing just integrate into every cell of your body, letting the body physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically make all the changes that it needs to make to integrate these lessons and these brand new changes on every single level, cellular, molecular, astral, energetic, mental, physical, and just giving the body the permission to continue this healing every night, to release everything that needs to leave, even over the next few days, weeks, months. Take a deep breath, slowly coming back to the present, becoming aware of the sounds in the background, the weight of your body, completely present, awake, alert, functional. And when you're ready, take your time. You can slowly open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me. See you again.